Hi, I'm Steve. This is probably the most important video I'll ever make on this channel because I'm giving you what I think is the formula for happiness. Let's start with a quick list of the ingredients for happiness. They are: record 3 good things, connect with people, be purposeful, respond to setbacks and negative thinking, exercise, eat well, sleep well, and meditate and be mindful. But before we get to that, I'm going to talk about how happiness is overrated and we should strive for contentment instead. That to achieve contentment, we need to make these practices into habits. That we don't need to do all 8 of these practices perfectly in order to be content. And that you should log your progress. Now, I have a confession to make. Only the first 3 of these ingredients actually lead directly to happiness. The other 5 on this list are more about reducing anxiety and depression to leave you in a state of contentment. I would argue, though, that contentment or peace is a much better thing to strive for than happiness. Happiness is not something that most people can stay in. Happiness pops up in certain moments and then it's gone. And that's okay. The problem comes when we insist that we're supposed to be happy. And then when we can't stay in happiness, we think something's wrong with us, and then we feel bad. I think most of us are spending time in anxiety, along with periods of sadness, anger, and shame. We ruminate about the past, and we worry about the future. Sometimes we dip into depression, and then have to claw our way back out. And then there are moments of happiness, and moments of contentment that don't last. It would be much better for us if we could find contentment and stay in that energy as much as possible. And then we could have more moments of happiness, fewer moments of anxiety and other feelings, and stay out of depression altogether. So that's what most of these ingredients move us towards. The other important thing to keep in mind is that none of these ingredients are things you do once and you're done. Happiness or contentment is a daily practice that builds momentum over time. We need to set up practices in such a way that they become habits. We want the practices that lead to contentment to be as mindless and automatic as brushing your teeth. I've done a number of videos previously on the topics we'll be covering, including how to create positive habits. So if you want a deeper dive after watching this, I'll have links to those videos and a whole playlist in the video description. I also want to say that you don't have to do all of these things, and you don't have to do all of these things perfectly. That's why I call them ingredients. You might leave out meditation, only do 10 minutes of exercise, and only get 7 hours of sleep instead of 8. But if you're doing well with everything else on the list, you might still be content and keep depression at bay. And it's important in creating your new habits to log your progress every day. Okay. Let's finally get into the 8 ingredients. Number 1, record 3 good things. This is the simplest and easiest ingredient on the list. When you get into bed in the evening, write down 3 good things that happened to you that day, and then reflect on what part you had in making those things happen. This exercise has been shown to decrease depression and increase optimism and happiness. Number 2, connect with people. Good relationships are the most important factor in happiness, and the key to successful relationships is to increase the number of positive interactions we have with people. Strive for 5 or more positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. You want to fill the emotional bank accounts of the people around you with activities together, acts of kindness, giving them appreciations, listening to them attentively, and giving them your support. So one thing you can do is to make a to-do list every morning and to include on there some way you're going to create a connection with a particular someone. For instance, I will invite my friend John to lunch. Number 3, be purposeful. We create a life of meaning by doing things that are meaningful or purposeful. You don't have to do a huge thing every day in order to feel meaning. You can do something small. You might help someone. Maybe you can pick up trash in your neighborhood. You could write a letter to your editor or call your congressperson. You could spend a few minutes working on a creative project. Each morning, put on your to-do list one purposeful thing you will do that day. Number 4, respond to setbacks and negative thinking. This one may not be relevant every day. We all get knocked down, or we make mistakes, or someone criticizes us. When that happens, it can send us into a tailspin of negative thinking and despair. We need to have a practice for when this happens so we can quickly bounce back. I'll give you 2 protocols for this. First, if you notice that you're having negative thoughts, first identify the negative thought, such as, "I'm a screw-up." Then question that negative thought. Ask, "Is that true that I'm a screw-up?" And what else might be true in this situation? Maybe you'll realize that we all make mistakes, or that the other person was being unfair. If something bad has happened to you, then ask, what gifts might I be receiving from this setback? Setbacks are often learning opportunities. They can also help us to understand other people who have experienced similar setbacks. Remember that when you feel bad, that may be a cue telling you to look at your thinking or look for gifts. Number 5, exercise. Besides being great for our health, exercise boosts mood and reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. Your eventual goal should be 30 minutes of moderate exercise per day, but you can start small and work up to that. There are 2 elements to adding a habit like exercise. The first element is to add the new habit onto an already existing habit. For instance, you could exercise after having breakfast every morning. The second element is to make habits that are really tiny, so small that you don't mind doing them. This is an idea advanced by B.J. Fogg in his book, Tiny Habits. I like to walk outside for my exercise, but instead of the habit being, I'll walk outside for 30 minutes, I've made my habit this. After breakfast, I'll put on my shoes, open up a podcast, and step outside. Doing that is easy and only takes a minute or 2. But once I'm out the door with my shoes on and a podcast going, it's natural to go for a walk at that point. Number 6, eat well. The American diet is full of fat, salt, and sugar. Americans eat things that are highly processed, simple grains instead of whole grains, red meat and processed meat, and very few fruits and vegetables. Research tells us that this diet not only makes us sick, it also makes us depressed. To be healthy and stave off depression, we need to reduce our intake of salt, fat, sugar, red meat, processed meat, and other highly processed foods, switch to whole grains, and increase our intake of fruits and vegetables. We also need to eat a wide variety of foods. We do this primarily by making wise choices at the grocery store, and by spending more time preparing food from scratch. Work on making healthy choices convenient and unhealthy choices inconvenient. For instance, put the potato chips on a high shelf and put an apple on your desk. Number 7, sleep well. While bad sleep doesn't cause depression, it has been shown to exacerbate depression. So it's important to make sleep a priority. Adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, while kids aged 10 to 17 need 9 hours of sleep. Most people in America, though, sleep about an hour less than they should, so we're perpetually sleep deprived. Also, a really bad night's sleep can feel just like depression. You might think you want to be awake more so you don't miss out on life, but you might be missing out on life because you're sleep deprived. To get good sleep, go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. And 30 minutes before you sleep, stop looking at screens and do something relaxing. Number 8, meditate and be mindful. Of all the practices I'm going over, this one may be the most challenging to adopt. But studies show that mindfulness meditation significantly reduces anxiety, and it's also been shown to reduce depression and increase well-being. Mindfulness meditation trains the mind to reduce rumination and worry, and to stay in the here and now. You do this by focusing your attention on a single object and by noticing your thoughts but declining to follow them. Besides a sitting meditation, you can practice mindfulness while doing activities like washing the dishes, eating, or going for a walk. If you want to start mindfulness meditation, I recommend attending a class or going through an online training program. To keep up a meditation practice, decide on a certain time to meditate every day, such as in the morning, and have it follow a habit you already do, like eating breakfast. So those are the 8 ingredients to happiness and contentment. Now it's up to you to figure out how much of each ingredient you want to practice to contribute to your happiness. What are the specific habits you will commit to and create? And then I highly recommend logging your practices every day. You might also log how happy you are each day. If you want a deeper dive on these ingredients, go check out my other videos, especially the ones on creating habits, bouncing back from adversity, what to eat, and mindfulness meditation. There are also links to research in the description of this video. That's it for today. I wish you well. If you like this video, please give it a like. Consider subscribing to the channel and ringing the bell for notifications. Comments are always welcome. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!